Welcome to the. Oh, are we live?
Yeah.
Oh, we're live. Welcome to
We're
the
live.
Sugo Comic Shop does a podcast with me, Papa Z Lee,
I'm the employee of the month.
and we also have someone who's here but not currently here in the room with us. Who didn't watch the whole movie, but that's okay
It's not okay.
because we're going to be talking about one of my favorite movies tonight, which is Blade Runner. I've watched it probably enough for all of us.
Is that right? How many times do you think?
A lot, because it's one of those movies that I can just put on in the background and just kind of let play. Because it's, I mean, it does get criticized for being slow, but I feel like the vibe of it is something that I can just have on
Yeah, for sure.
a lot. So like whenever I'm not sure
The
what to
aesthetics
watch,
are-
I'll just put on Blade Runner.
Yeah. How's it looking? We're breaking the fourth wall. Ivan.
Well, the barn door is open, so are you really breaking the wall?
Guess
The wall's
not.
already open.
That's true. What is he, deaf now?
Jokes.
or-
We got jokes.
He's deaf. Going great, your wife says.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's what I'd like to hear. Would you like to hear some chimes?
Not really. I'm okay. Does it look okay?
It looks fine. I don't know. I think I was telling you this that I got different headphones on. Oh, and this sound is weird. Is my sound down at all? Lost my train of thought. So at Aaron's today, trying to set up a studio for Aaron's, and I feel like this mic is just in the middle of the camera. Everything's a mess. Just how none of these settings ever save.
Yeah.
And then it's just, as soon as you hit the button to go, it's like 5 things break. It's like, why is it like this every week, every time we do this? So anyway, I guess
Yeah.
long story short, Lucas, you're fired.
We just
Well,
need
what
to find
can you do
another
about
streaming software other than IBS.
OBS?
Other than your IBS.
It's IBS. Okay. All right. You say so.
It's magical.
IBS?
This podcast, I don't know. That's definitely not magical. But this podcast can be.
Can it?
No.
I think one time when I was flustered and like talking about the OBS software, I did refer to it as IBS. And I don't know. It always comes up whenever I think about the streaming software. Oh, look at that. We can see everything. Oh, look at that. That's, wow, we're doing great things.
Oh, no. I see I'm breaking everything.
The screen is duplicated.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see.
I can work with these quadrants. I'll just stay inside this one.
It hurts my head turning my head like this. Or my neck, rather.
Oh, boy.
I hope we can
Does
pull
this work at all?
All those mime classes are finally paying off.
Are we going to be able to pull this from Twitch?
Who knows? Who knows? We're
We
just
could
going to
even
go.
just screen cap Twitch and just do it real rough.
I don't know. So what are we talking about this week? I don't even know. I didn't watch the movie. Did I tell you that?
You told me.
Yeah, that's why we noticed the scene when you go to the scene change to you, it says you didn't watch the whole movie.
It does.
But I was just saying that
Well,
I
you're
probably
very
watched the
dark.
movie enough for all of us here. 1982 film directed
1982.
by
Did you see it in
Ridley
theaters?
Scott. I wish. I would have loved to see Blade Runner in theaters. I saw 2049 in theaters.
I
We're
didn't.
also the only one in the theater. But,
Yeah, I don't think that did too well at the box office.
Great
Neither
movie,
did
though.
this movie.
no, they're
first
both
came out.
notorious for being like some of the best science fiction movies ever made.
No, I saw
But
this in
all-
the theaters. I was as
also
old
not
as
hidden.
Lucy. I was 3 months old.
Are you serious?
Yes.
No,
No,
you're
of course
not.
not. But in 1982, I would have been less than 1. So
Wow.
I'm old enough.
You're
The
old,
I am.
man.
I'm really old.
You could have been there.
I was born in the year 2000.
Wow, a baby from the future.
And I was
think
born
it-
in 85.
Isn't it funny though that like this movie takes place in 2019?
Yeah,
That it's
yeah.
like that was 3 years ago, and we're in our own like hellscape apocalypse right now. But it's totally different than the one imagined in Blade Runner.
Yes.
Very much so. Very much so.
But man, that future that Blade Runner is set in, that decaying future,
Beautiful.
it's so beautiful. Yeah, I was going to say the same word.
It has a noir feel to it, but also like a future vibe that I
Well,
find very
it's
fun.
the neo-noir. Like when people talk
Oh,
about
yeah.
neo-noir, that's Blade Runner is the bedrock.
This is like Neo. noir.
Well, yeah, because it is.
Or is it
a bit
neo
more-
noir?
No, it'd be neo.
No, it's not doubling down on the noir. It's more neo.
Yeah.
It's more neo.
Because does the Matrix happen without Blade Runner? Probably not.
No, probably not. Probably not.
It's that influential. Like
Oh,
I know
yeah.
that Blade Runner is a huge movie, but you guys are bigger movie guys than I.
Yeah, but look at like any anime that came out in like the 80s and 90s,
Right.
like, after Blade Runner.
It is. Yeah, I kept thinking that too. That like this is like a live action
anime.
anime to
That's-
a certain
yeah,
degree.
100%.
That like, even though the main characters are these white characters for the most part, like it's very Asian centric.
Oh yeah, I see what you're saying. Yes.
Very very cool. I just stylistically very fun. I always like. And I feel like a lot of the stuff we watch has like these big heavy dark shadows and things like that. But this was just. It wasn't so dark that it became oppressing, but it just had this very weird like sensibility about the world. I think like we talked about Gotham in the last Batman movie, like having an identity like that was the city itself. This
Yes.
also has an identity to like the little universe, the little city that you're in.
Yeah,
for
right,
sure,
right from the
for
very
sure.
beginning, when that model of like the flames coming out of like the, I'm not sure if they're like a power plant.
Yeah,
or,
there's
or,
something, I'm
or,
sure.
or what
Yeah.
that is, but just
And then you see the flying car.
yeah, there's just such craft work. In,
There's a lot of Coca-Cola advertisements.
Yeah, that the model of where the fire's coming out, and then also later the Tyrell building. I actually saw. I think I saw the Tyrell building in the Museum of Moving Image. In,
Oh, that's cool.
In Long Island. Wait, no, is it
New Jersey, maybe?
Queens? Yeah, I think it's in Queens.
Okay.
There's a movie studio, and then there's a museum that goes along with it.
Are you sure it's not New Jersey?
It's not New Jersey.
Because I know originally, like when it wouldn't be Hollywood, but when people started making movies, New Jersey was like the place to do it. And
Well,
then
I'm
Hollywood is switched to Hollywood.
There could still be that, but this one was definitely in Queens. It was cool. It had a bunch of cool artifacts and stuff. Like they had like the Freddy
Yeah.
chest, like all the like the like souls like came through.
Oh, that's sweet.
Later in one of the Friday the 13th movies, but
I think it was the
the
third one.
Tyrell model was so cool because
That must
they
have
had
been
to do
sweet
they
to
had to do
see.
it all in miniatures back
Right,
then because there
right.
was there was CG, but it wasn't what we know
well,
today.
it was not the early '80s. There wasn't too much CG really.
No, not really.
No, there
There
was.
was like none, pretty much.
I'm sure there were little
I-
things. Like
I
I think
know-
Lucasfilm had done some stuff at that point in time, but like
Right,
very
they were like the
limited, very very
pioneers.
basic.
It was.
Well, I
it
think
was like
Jurassic
Tron,
Park.
essentially.
Jurassic Park was like the first big CG
Well,
thing. I'm pretty sure.
well,
Tron.
What is it?
Tron.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go to Lucas for Jurassic Park.
Well,
Because
successful. I don't know.
Jurassic Park, I think, started as a very practical effects movie,
Yes.
and I think somewhere in production,
well,
somebody said, "Hey, we can get," because it's
You know
it's
who it
industrial
was?
lights and magic, right?
Steven Spielberg's, I think, son
Mm-hmm.
told Steven Spielberg do CG because he liked it better.
Yeah.
Rather than stock motion.
But then Jurassic Park became kind of a blend of traditional practical effects and special effects, but it was like one of these breakthrough, like, oh, we can just do this now at a super high level that like is better than anything, not better than any practical effects, but like
Jurassic Park still holds up, like the CG,
It
Yeah.
does.
Yeah.
It
Which
which
does.
is
It looks
crazy
really
because
good.
like films that came out decades after, and even today still, sometimes the CG is like just not good. But
That's true.
Blade Runner 2049 is not an example of that. The CG in that film is fantastic.
Lucas, what's that last comment in the chat?
My friend Jack says, "Congrats on Employee of the Month, Luke." Thank you.
Congratulations, Lucas, on Employee
Thank
of the
you.
Month.
Thank you.
You did it.
Yeah,
The joke that no one gets, but it's beautiful.
and you know, April Fool's Day. I'm pretty sure it was the first day I started here. So you
we've had-
posted that on the 1 year anniversary.
That's really weird.
Isn't that
because
weird? I just
we've-
thought of that
We've
today, too.
debated this. What your first day at the store was?
And I'm pretty sure it was.
I'm pretty sure
April
I'm
1st.
wrong. I'm pretty sure you're correct, and I think it is April Fool's Day, which is just so perfect in so many ways.
It is. It really is.
Um,
it's so.
Can I
sweet.
tell you something about that Martin did that makes me incredibly happy?
What's that?
That I didn't realize for like a week that he had misspelled your name.
Oh my god!
That, like after like a week, he pointed it out, and I laughed so hard at it again. And I didn't want to share that image or anything because I wasn't sure how you would feel about it. And I also like I don't know. Sometimes I feel like my humor can tend towards mean, I'm sure you would agree. But I also wouldn't want to do something like behind your back or whatever. And I feel like Martin just kind of was like, "Yep, I'm just going to do this and post
No,
it."
he
And I was like,
kind of hinted at it.
I was like, just make sure that Lucas was
'Cause
okay with
he-
that because I
he-
don't want him to, you know.
He texted me he asked for what my mom's name was. And I
Mm-hmm.
assumed he was looking it up on Facebook.
Yes.
And he was like, I'm looking for an old picture of you. So that's kind of what I figured. He was going to post something on the comic
Did you
shop,
see the Lucas
page.
Employee of the Month photo?
I think I did.
Yeah,
Lucas looks like he's 4.
it was great.
Uh-huh. If you shaved, you would probably look really young too.
Oh,
I
I would.
guess.
Yeah, if I shaved now, I would look.
Me too.
I would look like 18. That's why I don't shave.
Yeah, Mr. Lee, if you shave, I see the few gray hairs though in your head every once in a while that confirms the fact that you are of a man of your mid-30s.
Well, when
But
I
you do have a baby face though. You do.
Yes, forever young. I'm gonna. Anyway, yeah. So I grew out the beard over the pandemic, and I have got this big white stripe in my beard, which is
Sweet.
which is pretty cool.
He calls that his Jack White.
I could, but my wife doesn't like the beard so much, so I make it go away.
Yeah, some stubble.
The Miami Vice, I call it.
Miami Vice. Interesting.
Mr.
Lee,
Silver
Silver
Fox. She
Fox.
can't wait until I go like gray and silver. Like all her hunks
Hunks, okay.
are like
All
Ted
right.
Danson, Steve Martin.
All the silver foxes.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Okay.
Blade Runner.
She likes an elderly Blade Runner, like Rutger
Harrison-
Hauer
Oh,
Who?
in Rutger Hauer,
Okay.
who plays Roy Batty, another
Right, right.
known silver fox, because his hair is like white in this movie, and it's 82.
It's like bleached. It was kind of.
But that's like one of
he
his
played a
signature
good
things.
villain.
Great villain. Like if
Yeah.
they had done X-Men in the 80s, Rutger Hauer is Magneto, hands down.
You think so? Maybe.
Oh yeah.
Maybe.
Oh yeah.
I love the final sequence though of him almost just like taunting the main character's name. Help me out here.
Deckard. Rick Deckard.
Yeah. In that apartment, that's like an amazing sequence, and because it's so terrifying and
Yeah.
almost humorous at times, and you just like don't know if you should like laugh or if you should be scared.
Well, it's like the well, we're jumping to the end of the movie.
yeah, who cares?
But like because so he's asking him questions like, "Are you the good man?"
Right.
You know what I mean? Because he's played up in the movie to be the protagonist, but he's the one who's essentially just hunting down these replicants who are just
Right.
trying to live. So is he the good guy? Like if you look at the facts, it doesn't really look like he's the good guy.
Right.
They're literally just trying
Well,
to live.
I mean, the replicants are causing harm. They're killing people, right?
But the reason that they're killing people is because those people want to retire them, or to put them on the
Right.
track towards retiring them.
That's a good point.
You see what I'm saying? Like
It's a big moral dilemma here.
that's one of the reasons I really like it.
Because you can
too.
argue both ways. I think there's an argument
Yeah.
for both ways.
There's tons of. I mean, historically, there's tons of debate on many different points of Blade Runner, and certain things have been cleared up over time with commentary directly from Ridley Scott and such, and what Harrison Ford has said, and even the sequel is kind of
I'm gonna rewatch the
have
sequel
kind of clarified.
because I feel like when I first watched this film, I was probably like 16 or something.
Mm-hmm.
I remember watching it and being like, I had no clue what was happening throughout the entire film, and just being and having a feeling of like confusion, but like, oh yeah, this seems like an important film I just watched, even though I don't understand what happened at all. And now rewatching it, it's kind of a simple plot. Like it's just
yeah.
it's it's like a noir film set in the future, pretty much.
well, noir can be complicated too, but
Right, but I feel like this is a pretty straightforward plot.
Yeah.
But there's a lot, there's a lot of lore and stuff that they kind of just throw at you almost, with these replicants.
and it's very
that-
subtle too.
It,
which
it is very
like a
subtle.
big budget sci-fi movie.
Right. Well, I think that's why it didn't catch on.
Yeah.
Is because it's like maybe I don't know how it was advertised back, in 1982 or whatever. But I imagine it was advertised as like almost another Star Wars type film.
That's a very good
Yeah.
point. You don't know how that was marketed. I really don't know either.
Right.
But like you're taking a Harrison Ford, who was
arguably the biggest movie star at that time.
Oh yeah.
who was already in this hugely popular sci-fi franchise.
Right.
You're just moving him over to another sci-fi thing that's a little bit more. Ooh, the computer is weird. We don't have a mouse. The computer fan is making. Everything is falling apart here
probably
at the
can't
comic
even
shop
hear it.
back room. But yeah, was it just billed as like another Star Wars? Because it's not another Star Wars.
No,
I think
definitely
that this
not.
is a much
Based
deep.
on the Philip K. Dick story, "Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep," which
Yeah,
Philip
which I
K. Dick
didn't know.
is Star Wars is not.
No, it's because I could see people wanting this to be a Star Wars type film and going and seeing like, well, what was that?
Yeah.
Where it's you're dealing much heavier with like ethical and moral quandaries of like what are the replicants good or the replicants bad? Who's the good guy? Who's the bad guy? What does it mean to be a human being? Like I think there's good debate going on currently of like we're living in a simulation and we're all just part of a computer program. Well, does that make us any less human? That we're part of this very realistic simulation that if I killed Aaron but really he's just part of a computer program, what does that mean? What does that all mean? And I think that's what you're talking about in this movie is like, what does it mean when you have to be alive, to be a human being? And I think that there's debate about that going on now currently with, are we in a simulation, which I think we are. Or
I don't think
or
we
has
are.
AI just advanced to the point where if AI is indistinguishable from a human being, is that just another life like that deserves to be treated fairly and live and whatever?
Right.
According to Star Trek, yes.
I've seen a few Star Trek films, but that's it. I
Well,
don't
do you
like
watch?
Star Trek.
You got to watch Next Gen.
No,
There's a great episode, Measure of a Man with Data.
Not a fan of Star Trek.
Talk
Never have
about the Data one, because I know that's a character. He's an android in Star Trek, and that's is he a human? Is he a living creature?
What do they call him? He's an android essentially. He's an artificial person. And throughout the movies and stuff, he gets an emotion chip and becomes more human. But this episode, there's somebody who comes and wants to basically reclaim him for research and like disassemble him to understand like how he's able to like exist, because he's got a positronic brain, and there's only one of Data to create this this synthetic being, and Picard's like, no, I'm not going to let you take my second in command and disassemble him for research. He's like, he's just as much of a crew as anybody else here, and I wouldn't let you do it to any other members of the crew. There we go. And so they end up having a courtroom scene where Riker actually has to be like the prosecution argue for Data to be disassembled, and I think Picard.
Riker's such a jerk.
Well, no, it was his as the first officer, he had to argue that point, even though
He just wanted to sell out Data as fast as he could.
No, he did not want to do that.
These references.
In the episode, he even gets mad about it because he doesn't want to, but then does it to the best of his ability. But then Picard is the defense, and spoiler alert, defense wins because it's Picard's speech, and he does a really good job with those.
Sure.
And so Data gets to continue being the not the first officer, but like the second in command after Riker on the Enterprise.
Where was this in the movie? I missed it, I think.
Well, it was on the Star Trek Next Generation TV show.
It's
know.
a
great show.
post-credit scene.
Oh,
you must have
okay.
missed.
I missed it. I missed it.
But you asked me
But
about
to
it,
go,
so I said-
No,
I
no.
did. But to go back to the Data is a robot who has a relationship with human beings. Deckard has this relationship with Dexter has this relationship with replicants, and like obviously there's that sexual energy there between the very nice lady and like at what point in time is this a human being? It's a very interesting ethical. I feel like that's the Data analogy there. Is like he has this relationship with all these other people on the ship. At a certain point in time, he's not a machine. He's a spirit, a soul, something. I don't know.
And if you watch season 1 of Next Gen, Data has an encounter with Tasha Yar.
Okay. I won't watch it.
Is she a very nice lady?
She is the Data.
Yeah.
Hey, good for Data. Heck yeah. Or Data.
Data.
Okay.
Because
I heard she gave Data some extra RAM.
Wow. All right. Back to Blade Runner, shall we? So let's talk about the visuals for a bit.
I mean, I think it still looks great.
I do too. I think everything holds up. I think as a film student, this is like top of the line, like production for sure.
The lighting and like
the lighting,
atmospheric aspect.
100%.
effects in
The
this.
lighting, you have all this neon, but then I also found it interesting that like it's this dark movie,
Right.
but there's constantly lights in the background that like there's just so much stimulus going, even when they're in the little buildings by themselves. It's
Right.
just these big sweeping lights past the windows, and like
yeah.
it's this. It just continues to evoke this like weird, slow moving machines that are outside. I don't know. It's a very fun visual imagery though, and I love the ship, the big ship that rides around with the
yeah.
Asian woman advertising the candy or whatever.
I think it's Coke.
Do you watch the South Park specials?
Yes.
Did you see the
Oh,
post-COVID?
Yes.
Where
So
they kept cutting to the Asian woman, the exact same one from Blade Runner.
I
Oh,
forgot.
was it a reference?
I forgot
Yeah.
about. So yeah, that
Okay.
was it. Was the dystopian post-COVID future, and on several buildings they had the Japanese woman or whatever doing eating the candy thing, and I was like, that's so weird. What's that a reference to? I know. And then I watched Blade Runner, and I'm like, oh, like that's their post. That's their dystopian future.
funny.
Has the same woman, eating the candy or whatever in the.
And they devote a lot of time. They really let that commercial play in
Yes.
South Park.
I'll
It's
have to
just-
watch it.
It's one of those the noise of it just like pops into my head every once in a while of like what she's saying. I don't even know.
I don't even know what she's saying either, but it's just such this weird. It's just like the big ship going by with the
Right.
outer world or whatever. It just takes you for a second. We're like, that's just such a strange, weird, whatever. But it's fun.
I think that's the greatest strength of Blade Runner is the ambiance, like the background, the world that it drops you into.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it's not like a J.J. Abrams Star Wars movie where like they drop you into the world. They're like, okay, you can't look around here because we got to go to the next one. Okay, don't look around because we got to go to the next one. This one's like, it's raining.
Everything-
Things are bad. There's weird robots,
Right.
and you're stuck here. Like it's a layover. You know what I mean? And
Right,
you just have
yeah.
to stay in Blade Runner Hotel until
Yeah.
your flight comes in tomorrow.
Right, and I think you said that one of the maybe it was you, that one of the criticism was it's a slow movie or a slow burn, and it definitely is. Like I felt the time, and it was like a 2-hour film, I think. The final cut, the one I watched, which was like 5 different versions or whatever. And yeah, I was like, I paused at one point. I was only an hour in. I'm like, dang, I feel like I've been watching this film for a while. But like, that's not like I enjoyed it. Like you were saying earlier, like you could just turn this on in the background, and like I
Yeah.
could see myself doing that for sure. Just to get not even pay attention to the story, just look over and see the visuals and maybe get some of the story. But like I said earlier, the stories to me it's not too complex. Like you can.
No.
If you've seen it a billion times, you can just jump at any point, kind of know where you are in the story, and watch the rest of the film and enjoy it. And I think it's one of those great films that you can have in the background, just to, like I said, glance over at the visuals and see all the neon and the darkness and the colors and.
Yeah, and the cool thing
amazing.
about this too, like the production's awesome, but like that hotel that the climax of the movie is in, that's the same hotel that they used like in LA for soap operas.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, so they just like put a bunch of like junk around and like lit it totally differently.
That's funny.
Yeah, so like it's Ridley Scott's really smart, I think, and he can just transform stuff. I mean, especially if
Right.
it's dark, you can really control like what you see and how
Right.
things are done. And I love the little brilliant things like that, where it probably was a steal to work in there because they're already filming in there during the day. Like the studio probably already has the rights
Right,
to it or
right.
permits or whatever, and they're just like, okay, well we'll just get it from 7 p.m. till 3 a.m. or whatever the thing is. But aside from that, another thing that I think is really strong in it is the Vangelis Score, the electronic score. One of the first.
That's one thing I noticed throughout. I'm like, damn, this music's great.
I had mixed feelings about the score, but go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm curious as your take.
Well, it's just kind of like sparkling and like definitely not overdone. They just kind of let the tone and texture of the synths just kind of like wash over
Right.
over the scenes. And when they do use other music, it's very much like an old noir
Yes.
style.
I appreciated that. I think more than the score, although I think it said the score was nominated for
Well,
Golden
it was-
Globe and Oscar, I think.
Well, it was cutting edge at the time. I mean, you had Clockwork Orange was another one of the first movies with an electronic score. This came out before Tron. And Tron had.
When did Clockwork Orange come out? Was that a year or two before this? Was that
I think that was
80?
like the early 70s.
Was it that long ago?
Yeah.
It may have been.
Because I think Clockwork Orange was before The Shining, and that came out like the late 70s. I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure.
yeah. I
Yes,
think your
you're right.
timeline checks out.
It always does.
But
Because Aaron, you and I are both electronic music guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that, the eerie pads and things like that kind of set a mood. But I almost like just the interruption of just like that noir type music as well. Like when she sits down and just starts playing the piano and things like that like it takes you to a slightly different place.
very poetic, especially that moment
Yeah.
when Harrison Ford's playing the piano with the photograph
Mm-hmm.
on the little ledge of the
Yeah,
piano.
yeah, yeah.
Like in a Paul Verhoeven movie, that's not happening. Like you're not getting a scene where RoboCop plays the piano.
Right.
It looks wistfully at a photograph.
Sure.
I'd buy that for $1.
I would too, but it's a very introspective movie.
Well, this film to me, it almost feels, I don't want to say like avant-garde, but in some ways it is.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it wasn't, a commercial success, and it has more of a cult following now. Same with the new one, I feel like too, is because they're big worlds, but like I said, I think it tells a small story, but sometimes you don't always. If you miss a moment, you could be thrown off from the entire movie and be like, "What? Why is he doing this?" Whatever. And even at the end, I like question some of the character motives. And I think you're supposed to, which and I'm sure that ties into like somehow, with like the human part, like why would this,
Yeah.
whatever. I'm sure you can dive deep into that.
I like how you said big world, small moments. That like Aaron always comes back to this as well. That like, yeah, give me the X-Men, but like I just want to see that human moment between the couple characters in this bizarro world that they're living in.
Right.
And I think that there's very much of that. And the big
For
world,
sure, for
the big
sure.
world thing too. I like again going back to Aaron's comment of with Star Wars, J.J. Abrams Star Wars. Yeah, they're establishing 30 different planets that all have their own different weird, quirky
Right.
things, and this is like you're in downtown LA, and
Right.
it's just like
And-
2019.
and there's all sorts of weird things going on, but it's like it sits in that aesthetic,
Yeah.
and like you can pull in all sorts of little things, little background things, and it just shares that vibe throughout the movie without trying to change for a more fantastic, weird,
Right.
bizarro setting. Like
And I mean, they talk about like different planets, like space travel's a thing in this
Yeah.
in this film, but it's like we don't ever explore that. We're always in this almost depressing type place. Where
Well,
it's
it's
always
because-
raining. There's no sunlight. It's all.
That's because with anyone with means is off world.
Right.
We're left behind with.
I think there's
everyone.
there's one line in there about that where I'm trying to remember now, where I don't think it's like any of the main characters, but it's someone like questioning someone like, why haven't you gone off world, or are you gonna go off world? And, do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, but I feel like I might be getting it confused with Total Recall.
Maybe.
Another Philip K. Dick adaptation.
Oh,
A lot of
We
Dick.
can remember it for you wholesale.
what's
Is
that?
the original title
Oh,
of
Wholesale?
the Philip K. Dick
Gotcha.
story. We can remember it for you wholesale.
Okay. Interesting.
It's like buying and selling memories and that concept.
I do kind of want to read the novel now. Do Andrew's Dream
I liked it. I read it a
Hey,
long
Electric
time ago
Sheep.
now.
of Electric Sheep.
I think I might have read it in middle school or early high school.
Yeah, I didn't know there was a book adaptation. It makes sense to me.
Well, I mean, the
there
book
is.
came first. It was I think it's,
Or I'm sorry, yeah, no, a movie adaptation I meant. But
yeah. And,
that's interesting to me.
And another funny thing that happened because of Blade Runner, like the concept of it is like like a robot cop, but kind of in a different sense, like somebody who
Right.
hunts robots. And somebody in Hollywood heard of that, and I must have watched How It Got Made or something like that, like a RoboCop documentary. And they were like, "Oh, but wouldn't it be cool if the cop was a robot?" And then like that's how the actual RoboCop concept was
Okay.
developed. So without this movie, there is no RoboCop.
I bet without this movie, there's a lot of no movies. I wonder if Alien came out before or after this.
Alien came out before this.
Was
That was
it?
Ridley Scott's
Yeah.
first feature film, I believe.
I believe it was a few years before this. Yeah.
And that was a success.
Yeah,
And so he was given.
which it fits more into a category. I feel like with this film, it doesn't. Like it's not it's sci-fi, but it's also kind of film noir. or
I think this
neo-noir.
cuts out its own genre that's
Yeah.
then
Yeah,
replicated
yeah,
by
yeah.
other properties and things
Well,
like that. Like
it's
I think
from-
about our current Magic selection. It's called Neon Dynasty, and it's
Right.
like this neo-future feudal Japan type
Right.
stuff that like
Cyberpunk.
It's a
Cyberpunk,
much cleaner world. This Magic card set, like this is a much dirtier world. But like boy, you could see the elements between the two.
Right. And Cyberpunk, which is a video game now,
Mm-hmm.
which also has comic adaptations, and is coming out with an anime show, I'm pretty sure.
And it was the genre of the future with William Gibson, another author.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with him?
No.
I mean, a really prolific author, like kind of trying to predict, like the shabby chic future
Shabby chic.
type
Interesting.
type thing. Necromancer or no, Neuromancer is his book. I've listened to a little bit of it
It's-
on tape.
Interesting. But yeah, Cyberpunk, I'm pretty sure was originally almost like a D&D type game in the 80s. That never. I think it's one of those where it has a cult following.
It has a following. I don't know the
Yeah.
history of that book. Though.
Yeah,
I don't
I
think
don't-
it's. I don't, nothing predates D&D, but I do feel like there was something in that. Like that '80s time frame where.
Right.
Yeah.
And then they made a video game that came out 2 years ago now.
That
I think.
stunk.
You'd know it better than I do.
Yeah. Which,
Actually, I heard the video game was not bad, but just
There was-
people
well, it
were
just-
buying it for. People couldn't get PS5s, and it was
Well,
built for a PS5, not a PS4. People were trying to play it on PS4s, and that's where the issues were.
Right. The game got delayed a bunch of times, which I'm a gamer, I guess. And it's fine. I think when the games get delayed, it's whatever.
Yeah.
But this game was like notorious for getting delayed, and obviously with the pandemic and stuff, it came out half a year, 6 months after the pandemic started. So it was like riddled with bugs, and it was just not a PS4, Xbox game.
Yeah.
PC it ran fine, and I had a PS5 playing it, and it crashed a few times, and I haven't touched it since the release. I do want to go back to it. But yeah, this person just said it's a good game. It just had a lot of tech issues.
Who was
Now
that?
I don't know.
That's what we
I don't
hear.
know. But now I hear it's on the right track and stuff. So I think I'm going to revisit it eventually. And it's definitely a world that's I would even say brighter than Blade Runner. It's like
More neon lights.
more neon. There's a lot more like sexual stuff in it. Cyberpunk, which is weird. I always like it. It's like
Like future boobs.
like everywhere you turn, there's just like strip clubs and everything in the game. And I'm like, I don't know if that's where the future's going, but I just find that super weird. That
I mean, that does exist in the Blade Runner movie too, with the Snake Lady.
right, but it's not as like prevalent. Like maybe in the world, and like there's comic books and
Is
stuff.
that a sexual performance that takes place with the snake? Like I was kind
Oh,
of reading.
I
I was
didn't
kind
think
of
about
reading
that.
between the lines there, and I was like, "Is that like what's going on?" And they're not showing that. Like,
Oh, I didn't think
never
about
thought
that.
but
That's where my dirty mind went. That I was like, "Is that why they're not showing?" Which leaves. I like that too when they don't show stuff because it leads you to your mind goes to the
think about it,
weirder
yeah.
places. But that was my interpretation of that. And I was like, "Oh, I don't."
I didn't interpret it that way, but
was the snake real, or was the snake?
it was
synthetic?
fake. It was
a fake
fake.
snake.
Yeah.
She didn't have money for a real snake. She said.
Right.
Oh,
She
that's
she said I wouldn't be working here if it was real or something, which I kind of find interesting because I feel like a fake snake, like a robot, real life snake, would be like a lot more than a real snake. So I don't know. At least in our world, I guess Blade Runner world,
Well,
it's
it's kind of
different.
flipped because there's not very little that's real that's left.
I guess you're right. Yeah. Yeah. But
Our
Scarcity.
Our mystery man in the chat says it's a world of hyper indulgence.
Cyberpunk, I think he's talking about. Yeah, which is true. Yeah.
Mindless self-indulgence. Ever listen to mindless self-indulgence?
Yeah, they've got some stuff I like.
All right, so we talked Star Trek, we talked video games. I'm going to talk rap for a minute and tie this into Philip K. Dick because I've been listening to a lot of early underground New York City stuff from the early 2000s.
Like Tupac?
No, specifically a lot of Def Jux and LP. And,
Biggie, you
Oh,
mean?
LP. Love LP.
well, I didn't realize this. And this is totally unrelated to. I wasn't even thinking of the Philip K. Dick stuff, but he was a rapper who still is, but would reference Philip K. Dick stuff all the time. And he had like a very sci-fi rap style, which is like the first time I ever heard somebody like, that it wasn't like thugs and guns and things like that. Like he would rap about like these dystopian futures. And it's funny that I was watching and listening to a few of his music videos from like the early 2000s. And then we get on the Philip K. Dick thing. Oh my gosh! Like I made the connection there that like even music wise, stuff like Blade Runner and things like that
Right.
very much influenced like a lot of the early 2000s New York City rap scene, which oddly I've just been listening to stuff for the past few days from, just totally coincidental to that. So I find that interesting that, like, again, a story from Philip K. Dick can spawn this movie spawned, what was the other movie that you referenced earlier? Or you said he did another piece that was whatever.
Oh, we can remember it for you wholesale. That turned
Yeah.
into Total Recall.
Yeah,
with Arnold
that
Schwarzenegger.
did that influenced musicians and things like that. This dark dystopian neo noir, writing stuff. It's very very interesting that cut across all creative channels there for a certain period of time.
I like him as a writer. He also passed away pretty young too.
Did he?
Yeah, I think he was like only in his 50s.
Who is this? Is this the writer?
Philip K. Dick.
Okay.
He also did another one. He did another. Well, he had another book adapted. That a pre-Iron Man Robert Downey Jr. was in. What was that called? I started reading. That was a tough read because you have unreliable narrators and hallucinations. So
So it's hard to kind of grasp what's going on.
Yeah.
What's real and what's not.
let's see, A Scanner Darkly.
I haven't heard of it.
Winona Ryder and Keanu Reeves in that.
Is that the
one
movie
too.
that Alex Jones is in?
Is he in that one? I'm about to find
know.
out.
Is it like part cartoony?
Yes, it's all rotoscoped
Rotoscope. That's what I was thinking of.
digitally.
I feel like
rotoscoped.
Alex Jones is in that. You know who Alex Jones is?
I do.
As like this loony street preacher, and this predates all of his insanity.
All of his loony.
Yeah, all of his like real
preach
loony
stuff.
stuff. Where like somebody put him in a movie as like doing kind of what he does now.
Wow.
I don't know. Why I
Predicted
know
the
that.
future.
Yeah, I know. Very weird. A Scanner Darkly. I haven't seen that. I would watch that. That might be a good one to visit because that's a little weird and arty and depressing.
Avant-garde.
Yeah.
Well, there's also Loving Vincent, which is a Vincent Van Gogh biography, but all oil painted. Every single frame of that
Oh,
movie is
yeah.
oil
This is
painted.
recent, right?
Yeah.
Because my mom watched it. She said it was amazing.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one either, but I would watch A Scanner Darkly for a future one. Just on the topic of rotoscope, can you imagine how insanely tedious?
Explain to Lucas and I what rotoscoping is.
You don't know?
I know.
I know.
Well, so it's basically you film the whole movie, and then you trace every single part of the movie by hand, every single frame.
You know how many frames are in a second?
It's over 16. What is it, like 60?
At least
24.
24?
Boy, I thought it was 30.
No, it's 24.
As our computer squeaks at us again. Because at a certain point in time, your eye can only perceive so many frames per second. It's
Right.
like, we've talked about this with like audio stuff too, that like, it's not a smooth wave. It's like little chopped up segments because your ear can't, at a certain point in time, it just becomes a single continuous sound wave. Same thing with film, is that your eye can only process so many frames per second. So,
Right. And then also you have the shutters or the gutters in film too. That if it wasn't there, then it would just look like a blur, which is interesting. You have
Oh,
the
yeah.
blackness, in between frames on a film strip, and you need that there, or else it won't look like anything.
like the image gets really like weird and
Yeah.
like difficult
Yeah.
for your eye to
You
process.
It needs to be there in order. I guess this random person, I don't know. 24 is standard for film. Yeah, human eye can detect roughly 120.
Well, I didn't know it was that many. I thought it was,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, with video games and stuff, that's like, at least for like PC gamers and stuff, that's like they want 120
frames.
FPS.
Oh,
yeah.
that's true. I've heard that as well.
But 60 frames per second is fine for me. I don't know.
I don't know. It's wild how far stuff gets up. I don't really play games anymore, but like the thing I'd be concerned about first and foremost is the gameplay. Like, is it fun to play?
Yeah.
That's my number one. Everything else is
Right. That's kind of where I lean to. Like when gaming, it's like right now. I streamed it the last week.
It was depressing.
Hollow Knight. I love that game.
Actually, it was a cool, different looking game.
Yeah. And it plays really fun.
I watched for like 20 minutes.
And that's why I like it so much. It's good gameplay.
I'll watch screen caps of games and stuff.
Yeah.
Like that Batman game. There's like cutscenes
Sure,
and stuff
sure.
and story parts that just popped
Yeah.
up on YouTube, and I'm like, you know what? I'll watch that. Like I watched.
The Batman games are good.
Yeah, I like the. You ever play Twisted Metal?
I haven't. I know what it is though.
If you've played Twisted Metal, right?
I've never played. I know what it
Are
is.
you
I never
serious?
played. No.
Well, it's got a really good story to it. At least parts two.
It was kind of before
Parts
my
2 and
time,
beyond.
believe it or not.
Yeah, because I think it came out in
Even-
like 2000.
I think it did. Yeah.
Oh, I'm probably thinking of like Twisted Metal Black as like the brand new one because that's really the last one I played. But that probably came out when you were born, a little after you were born.
I know there was one that I think like the PS3 maybe there was one on the PS3.
I'm gonna say it was
they're
one maybe
making a
like
new
10
one.
years ago.
But
Yeah,
it's
they're-
like Mortal
they're-
Kombat
they're-
with cars. pretty
Yeah,
much.
yeah.
But just like Mortal Kombat, like the characters have backstories, and then like if you win, like you get to see like more of their story, or they get a wish granted, and then it's like a monkey's paw type situation where they ask for something, but they get it, but it's not in the way
Right,
that they
right.
thought. And I don't know, I just like that component of storytelling, and it's a little bit like darker, but still imaginative.
They're making a TV show out of Twisted Metal.
Yeah,
And you know
I
who's
would watch it.
you know who's gonna star in it?
Hmm.
The Falcon.
Oh, Anthony Mackie.
Yeah, he's gonna be in it.
Oh, I wonder who he's gonna be.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know much about the lore of Twisted
I wonder if
Metal.
he'll be Axel. Axel was my favorite.
Who's that?
He's a guy who's stuck in these two giant tires. His arms are in the
Hmm.
giant tires, and he just drives around like this. But his attack, and this will go back to Dazzler and Colossus for the side scroller.
Yeah, this person says
his
Axel
attack
too.
is a radius attack. So if you're just like
Mm-hmm.
around a bunch of people, you can just fire that off, and it'll
Do a lot of damage.
yeah.
Interesting. I think they're making a new game, Twisted Metal too.
It's got I don't know. They made some real bad ones. I played those games a lot though. I
that
think
right?
that's like when I got I played 2 a lot. I love 2. That's probably the best one. I played 3 a lot. A lot of Rob Zombie Dragula in those games after that when they lost their original team. But I like Rob Zombie's music.
Like Robert, he's a good man.
I'll go out there on a limb and
Seems
say
like a
I like his
dick.
stuff.
Is he?
No, I don't.
Probably is. Yeah.
I don't. He seems. He's a profoundly creative guy though. Like he draws and makes music and makes movies and writes. Like
He does everything at like a super high level.
Yeah,
it's a little bizarre.
he's a creative
I don't
force.
know.
I respect.
Have
him
you
a lot.
seen his Halloween movies? They're garbage.
They're letting him make Halloween movies,
They let him make 2, and they're garbage.
but he's done other movies. Again, a headlining musician for decades, comic book writer, artist. Like
Yeah.
he's done a lot of stuff. You can't knock him.
The fact
you
that he
can,
got
but
the fact that he got movies done, like as many as he has,
While doing all this other stuff.
that's remarkable.
I know he's filming something now. I can't remember. I don't know if it's a sequel to one of his earlier films or I don't know.
Is he doing something with the Munsters?
Yes,
heard
I think that
yeah.
might be it. Actually, that's what
He's
I'm
talked
thinking
about
of.
doing something with the
Because I know he's a
Munsters
big
forever.
Monsters fan.
Yeah.
I don't know why I know that. But
You know, I don't-
I do.
The movies that I've seen by him, I did not enjoy, but the fact that he was able to make them is very respectable. I like his artwork and his music more so than.
I don't know. That's not my style, I guess.
Oh, he did all the cover art for White Zombie albums and did some animation for Beavis and Butthead Do America.
Interesting. Interesting.
Oh, did he do like something? Wasn't there one trippy scene in Beavis and Butthead Do America? And maybe
You know, I've never seen it.
I haven't seen it. Again, this was what was it? 96, 97 This came
Might
out.
have even been earlier
98.
than that.
But I feel like there's one trippy scene in there, and I think that maybe that's what Rob Zombie storyboarded or did the art from. I'm sure Alex will correct me if that is Alex. in
The
the
acid
chat.
The acid trip in the desert.
Yeah, that's okay.
Interesting. Very interesting. Should we get back to Blade Runner?
Do we have any? Do you want to?
There was a, I don't know if it's an anime. It's like a 3D anime maybe. Blade Runner. Blade Runner
Oh,
Lotus.
is it White Lotus?
White Lotus something.
Yeah, I watched the first episode
Was
of
it good or no?
It was fine.
Because that came out on HBO Max and like I remember hearing about it and then it was out and then it was like that's it. Like they did not market it at all. And I was like, okay.
I thought the first episode was interesting. It was an anime first, so I think it was released in Japan first, and then they dubbed it
Over.
I don't know if the characters' mouths move at all. I think it's just like the characters themselves move.
Their mouths don't move?
Yeah, I don't think so.
That's weird.
That is weird.
It's weird.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised that more stuff doesn't do that because then you don't have to worry about the dubbing of the different language because that seems like that would be a great cost cutting.
No, I think
don't
that's
know.
really dumb, to be
Yeah,
honest with
you
you.
don't
'Cause
like it?
I still want to see who's talking. If you have 3 characters and
Right,
there's just
you can't
different
tell.
voices,
Well, but
like,
they'll be like,
No.
Like,
It
I
would
think
just look
GTA.
silly. Like it would just take me out
It'd be
completely.
like GTA.
Aaron, I'm sorry, but you're wrong.
Okay.
It would take me out completely, I think.
But I think she has like no memory or something, and like she gets confronted by a gang, and then she goes into like kill mode. She's like a super fighter.
She a replicant?
I think that's highly implied.
Probably.
I haven't watched too much more of it.
Maybe
'cause-
she's Harrison Ford's son. Or daughter. Not son.
Well, I don't know. Could be.
No,
I only
think
watched
so.
one
I
episode.
don't think so.
But it seemed like I don't know. Maybe I'll give it another shot. I really like Love, Death, and Robots on Netflix much more because that's a anthology show, and they kind of give you the premise and like play it out, and then you know everything. They tell you the whole story. Some of these other things.
It seemed.
go on
I
for a
tried to
while.
watch that show one time, and it just seemed so depressing. I was like, I just can't watch this.
Not all of them are depressing.
I don't know. That's why I can't watch Black Mirror. I hate Black Mirror because it's just so depressing. Every episode.
Not all of those are depressing.
I don't know.
There's a great one about
They
when
just-
people die, they get their brains uploaded into this like computer server, and the computer server is like a community in Florida.
Oh,
It's like a retirement community, but
there's a
they're
sitcom
in-
about that. I'm pretty sure it's like Upload or something.
Yeah, this came out before that.
Yeah,
though.
yeah. I
But
bet they.
the
I bet they
music
ripped
in
off
it
that
is
premise.
awesome. They play "Heaven Is a Place on Earth" like a lot, and that's just a great song.
It is. It's a good song.
It's got that great '80s vibe.
I don't know. I like
but
Black
it-
Mirror. It just always freaked me
But
out.
that was
Always
kind
just
of.
so
It
depressing.
sounds like a depressing concept, but it was actually a very, very upbeat kind of episode.
Lucas, unlike you, I love being depressed, so I can deal with any depressing subject matter.
Watch Black Mirror then,
I'm not going to do that.
because it's like so close to our. It feels like our world, but it's like a little bit in the future,
Yeah.
where it's like, oh yeah, 10 years, this could be us.
Yeah.
And it just freaks me the hell out.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh,
All I do all
time,
day is
time
doom,
to go on the the Prozac. What
all
the
I do
hell,
all day
you
is
know?
doom scroll. So like I'm very desensitized and whatever.
But there's, I don't know. I think there can be some there even with all the bad things that happen and all the darkness and twisted stuff. I think that beautiful things can happen, and they can happen at the same time, sometimes in the same moment. You know,
Well,
so there's
Again, that's the second time you're wrong today, but that's okay.
I think
No, I'm just kidding.
we were talking to Alex Dexter, and he gave pretty much the
Who?
definition for like the gothic mindset, you know, like goth type stuff. And I'm just like, yeah, I kind of am in that camp. I think
Was
at least-
Dexter-
at least
was he-
ideologically?
was he like an emo when in high school? Do you know? You knew him back then, right?
No, I mean, I've known of Alex for many years now, but I don't remember the first time we met. We're actually around the same age, but we didn't know each other when we
Didn't
were
he?
younger.
What? Did you go to Oswego High School or
No.
no? Where'd you go?
Mexico.
Mexico. Okay. Interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I
Hop,
think you
skip,
and
and
Alex
jump.
are the same age.
We're very close in age, I think, if we're not the same age.
Yeah.
I liked Aeon Flux very much.
I don't know what that is.
MTV cartoon from about that same Beavis and Butthead time frame, late 90s.
Depressed, self-destructive punk. Cool.
And I was like a weird comic techno goth normie,
You were?
kind of.
Nice.
Just wrap it up in a nice square.
Do we have any
package.
final Blade Runner thoughts here? Then I also have a Blade Runner book if we want to look at that real quick.
Oh yeah, Blade Runner.
Lucas, any final Blade
Yeah,
Runner
Lucas.
thoughts?
I loved it. Rewatching it. I could see myself rewatching this film many, many times
I'm going to go home and finish it tonight.
and just diving into it.
Her recommendation is one Evan over.
No, I just
Like this is like one of the films like if I have a friend over and like we'll be talking and you know we're talking about like what movie to watch
yeah.
and it's like, oh, you haven't seen Blade Runner? Let's watch Blade Runner. It's amazing. It's maybe not like the best.
Don't
Film
watch it
to
when
watch.
you're tired.
Yeah, it's maybe, you know, it depends on the vibe. You know, we're having like a few drinks. It's like, yeah, maybe not Blade Runner.
Do we have a document camera?
Yeah.
Can we go to the doc cam? So we've got Blade Runner Origins. You can't see it
Origins.
because it's backwards, but that's okay.
They can see it fine.
It's manga style.
It's,
We're reading
yeah, I
it,
was going to say, it's manga. It's all right.
The artwork in this looks really nice. Like a lot of the newer style artwork that I see, it isn't always a winner just because it's like super hyper detailed, but like the emotion and like texture and stuff, like that you can see the humanity in this stuff. I love the expression, the line weights, the thick and thins on there.
It's too
Yeah,
bright.
definitely. You
Too
think
bright?
it's too bright?
Yeah.
It is. Yeah, it does look very like it looks like there's sunlight and stuff, but maybe that plays into the story of.
I need more
Ooh.
garbage and debris.
I think we're getting there.
Okay.
And more eyeballs.
Here we
Yeah,
go.
looking darker now.
Oh, that scene with the eyeballs.
Yeah, here we are. Now we're
That-
present day.
Oh, that gives me the freaks
Yeah?
me out. Eyeballs freak me out in general. Like I cannot look at an eyeball.
You know, I've
scares
eaten an
me.
eyeball.
Yeah.
I ate a pig's eyeball.
Why would you do that?
I was at my buddy's wedding. I think he had a pig roast.
Oh my
and he
God.
said, "You're the only person who would do this with me." They said we can eat the eyeballs. Will you eat an eyeball? And I said, "This is your wedding. I will eat an eyeball with you." And I popped the eyeball in my mouth, and he popped an eyeball in his mouth, and he immediately spit it out and goes, "I'm going to throw up." But you know what I did? I chewed my eyeball and I got through it and I ate my pig eyeball. Because I love my friend.
First off, if I go to a wedding and there's a pig roast, I'm leaving. I'm not staying for it.
Apparently, you can eat the snout and the ears too, but he was grossed out after the eyeball, and I don't know.
No, if there's a pig roast anywhere, I'm out. See ya. But that's weird. That's very weird.
So anyway, I ate an eyeball.
I'm gonna look at you different from now on.
Well,
Not a good light.
Yeah, I'll eat your eyeball if you
Oh
look at me different.
Jesus. But the eyeball scene sequence freaked
It's like
me
I just
out.
make eyes.
He's like, I just make eyes.
Who's the artist in this book?
That's a good question. Is it Mello Brown?
Alex Ross, I think.
Fernando Dagnino.
I was wrong.
Maybe an Italian. Those Italians, they've got some good stuff. Like Leo Max, who did Basket Full of Heads.
Mm-hmm.
Really good. I guess Leo Max is doing a DC villain book right now. It's in the Prestige format, the Black Label.
I thought Black Label was supposed to go away like a year and a half
That's
ago.
what I thought too. I
and
thought it
it's
was
it's just not.
or maybe I was thinking
It's
of
like a
Vertigo.
catch-all for like. It's like we're not Vertigo, but we're trying to fill the space that
Which is
Vertigo.
just dumb. Just be Vertigo.
I don't understand why you would get rid of the label that's like the most successful like
It's associated with so many
adult comics.
Yeah, not independent, but iconic offshoots of superhero stuff, and you're not going to use that name.
Yeah, like
Nice House on the Lake.
the more
is-
mature-
is one of them.
Yeah.
the more
Recently.
mature stuff.
Have you read that Nice House on the Lake?
I do. I bought the first volume. and
Very,
read it.
very depressing.
I have the
I
trade
liked
sitting
it,
at
though.
home. I haven't read it.
It is
I
very
wish
depressing.
there was a bit more. I wish they told us more about the story.
I feel like the writer,
Tinian?
Yes.
Tinian.
Is it James Tinian?
Yep.
I feel like it's somewhat of a parallel to like COVID and being being in your house locked down.
Yeah.
Like they can't go anywhere. It's like, oh, I wonder if he wrote this.
Because there's nothing left.
Right. But
Spoiler.
right. Yeah. I mean, they reveal
There's
it.
a nice house.
They reveal it in like the first issue. So.
Oh, what's this?
Shout out to Dave Chisholm.
I feel like we're still
Dave
reliving.
who?
We're still reliving Rice. This is
Yeah,
a guy we met last weekend.
Well, I met him.
This is a
Way
guy
before
I met
that.
last
Yeah.
weekend. Who he's a writer and musician a writer, artist, and musician out of Rochester.
A doctor.
A doctor of music.
Jazz trumpet. At the Eastman School.
And
of
I was
Music.
looking for Blade Runner stuff, and we didn't have anything. I saw Canopus, and I was like, "Oh, we could talk that," because I haven't really looked at that in a while.
I do enjoy like kind of like a general like fun sci-fi theme. I feel like that's a genre that maybe thrives a bit better in comics than it does in a lot of other places. Because you can kind of like
Yeah.
put attractive people in like little bubble helmets.
Well, you can do a lot more too, where it's like if you make a movie, you have to have a budget behind it.
Aaron, we've been talking comic strips lately, and maybe
Yeah.
doing a web comic, and I wanted to do something in kind of like a weird, like old timey comic strip style. But I've also had another comic strip in my mind for a million years, and that's the spacesuit bubblehead, Travis Charest, who did Wildcat stuff.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
He left to do with some kind of European comics in like a comic strip format for a period of time, and he put out a book, and I forget what it's called, but it was just beautifully illustrated, like ode to old sci-fi type stuff, and the bubble helmets,
Like
and the
Wally
goof-
Wood.
yeah, but also like very nicely drawn. Not that Wally Wood wasn't drawing nice stuff, but just Travis Charest's style is obviously much more rooted in realism. But every once in a while, I'll get on the bubble helmet doodle of like, what could I do with like a space themed comic strip that would be like a Tintin in space? I don't know.
That would be cool. That'd be a lot of fun. Yeah, we've been talking a lot about that. We can tie this into
Alex, we're doing a podcast Thursday. Are you available?
and bring the books or book that you borrowed, so that way I can.
Aaron's freaking out. He feels like he's going to lose these books.
Because we're going to talk about some Alexis Arit books, and he's one of my favorite artists. And to have that out of my library, does make me go a little crazy.
I could tell the other day when you were like, and I need to get those books back. And I was thinking, Aaron, why would I not give you the book back? But
I get that way too.
I want
my possessions.
and it's been a bit. They've been out there for a while.
I get this. I get the same
well, it
way.
looks like Alex isn't
Especially-
giving his book back.
What?
Oh, God. The whole podcast can just be Alex and I holding Aaron hostage, saying we're not going to give you your books back and just seeing how far we can take it.
In my own home,
Wow. Well,
live from the Pens and Pedal studio.
we have that to look forward to. I'll be watching from my room, my bedroom.
Yeah, it'll be good. So we're going to be taking a look more specifically at indie comics, trying to give them some.
What is it, Indiegogo
Attention.
or something?
No, it's going to be
Go
called
Indie
Give Me
Go.
Indie Comics, and I have a pipe dream. I think. Well, and I'm trying to get to drag some other people along with me here to do like the Give Me Indie Comics group.
Okay.
You know, like how we have the Marvel Comics group at the top of like old comics.
I don't know what that was either.
What was that?
I don't know. All
a
sorts
truck
of
and
noises.
Swear to
in there.
God, I thought that was a gunshot.
No, but we're trying to think of things we could do as web comics or maybe some more kind of collaborative stuff, and then we could do something that's kind of like Oswego Comic Shop makes a comic, but do it in kind of a more organized way with a core invitational group. I think that would be cool to start.
would be
start to
Yeah, I
develop
think
this.
that's. Did you talk to Caetano?
I texted him. I didn't hear back from him.
Okay.
He's a busy guy.
Because I do think that would be the ultimate goal is to, maybe between you and I and Alex and Caetano, do some kind of collaborative thing where, it's write and draw and coming up with ideas, just being silly, keeping it small and focused. So
Yeah.
I feel like we can get something done.
Mhm.
And then Aaron, you and I were talking about, posting them as webcomics. And then
Yeah.
maybe after we get enough webcomics together, putting it together in some kind of anthology or some kind of printed format where it's like, oh, this is the collected works of the comic shop makes a comic, give me indie comics, whatever this is. And it says, I will also bring it with me Wednesday. We're doing Thursday at 6 or 7.
Thursday at maybe 6:30 would be
Okay.
better because then we can get everything set up to go, and we can be all situated to rock and roll right at 7.
Which Aaron and I spent 2 hours today.
Yeah.
Did you not have to teach today? Spring
No,
break?
it's spring break.
Is that right?
They don't.
Not
they
for
don't
me.
They don't make me teach all the time.
Not for me. It's
Just most of the time.
I had one class today actually, so it wasn't too bad. And then classes. Oh, Thursday's actually. No, Wednesday's going to be my
would
Friday.
I rather you bring it with you on Wednesday to give to Evan to then bring?
Oh, yeah. Go bring it Wednesday because then I'm going to throw you the other book that I never gave to you and then bring that other one back
Can at least
to
flip
Aaron's.
through.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm
Yeah.
optimistic about this concept. I like the idea of webcomics because it feels like a lot of the newer stuff and like lesser known stuff kind of starts on the web. But I'm definitely not abandoning print because print is the really exciting part because it's when it goes
Hold
from when it goes from like the idea on screen to something in your hand that you can flip
Right,
through.
right.
And yeah, I'm just really excited for that concept. Hopefully, we can make something like that work, even if it's just Evan and I just kind of like working through some concepts. I think we can make.
No,
that
but I
work.
think again, I always think Alex is a very funny guy. He's got good. Like I appreciate his improv.
Funny how?
Funny looking. I appreciate his
It's a
improv and stuff.
Goodfellas
When
reference. Dexter will get that.
all right, you maybe lose my train of thought, but anyway, I think he's pretty funny, and maybe would have some cool ideas to contribute. And if we can get Gaetano on board and do some doodles with us, that'd be fun. That'd be fun.
Yeah, I just want to do some more collaborative stuff because making comics and reading comics can be a very solitary
It's a very isolating thing sometimes.
experience. So if we can get some collaboration, even somebody send me like a sketch, like Evan sent me the cover of Comic Shop Makes a Comic.
I'm disappointed in myself
Why is that?
Why?
that you repenciled it.
I didn't repencil all of it.
You repenciled it.
I repenciled certain parts of it,
Shots
but
fired.
I tried to vibe
Shots
with it
fired.
because I feel like I've got an angular style that I can pull out and work with.
Because I asked, I was like, is this enough? Because I was just struggling with it, and I was like, Aaron can fix it. And I was like, Aaron had to go back and really.
So I did what you wanted me to.
I know, and I appreciate that, but I was like, to me, it's not an affront on you. To me, it's just, I should have put more effort in. I should have, I don't know.
That spinner rack, I had to go back in.
It was a mess.
There was
It was a mess.
there's
I
not a
know.
lot there for me to,
And that's what I was struggling. I couldn't figure out how to make it look like a spinner rack.
and I'm not like a Bruce Timm where I can just go in and do a vup 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 couple lines and people will be like, whoa. that looks so good.
I gotta know my limitations, but I appreciate you. I'm excited about that.
I think it looks really good.
Yeah.
I was pretty pleased with how it's looking.
No, it looks
I'm
great.
excited.
It looks great.
I just got to decide.
When's
on
it going to
a
be
couple other
published?
Who knows?
Here, so I'll say this on the air. Here's what I'm thinking, Evan. We do another bite at the apple of alternate realities. So like maybe at the end of June, we just do another thing, same theme. See if we can't get some other stuff in there. Even if it's just us doing some other stuff, we can kind of pad it out a bit more. And
I'd love to reach out to Go ahead.
and maybe some of those people out there who did it last time but haven't finished it or emailed it to us can be a little reminder of hey, we're still out here doing alternate realities.
I'd love to see though if we could grab
Who's
Kevin
this?
Delgado
We gotta
or
drop
grab
names.
one of them. Might be in the chat right now.
Oh, Dexter. Damn.
One of them might be across the table from me too.
Oh! I emailed you mine that night.
I believe it.
The same night. Okay, I'm on top of my game.
I came over to your house to work on that too, and I never got anything done. Well, on that
Gotta
note,
prioritize. Gotta prioritize.
Blade Runner.
Blade
One of
Runner.
my favorite movies. Very rainy movie,
It is. It's always raining.
which is maybe why Batman was so rainy.
Could be. Could be.
Gotham is a character. Blade Runner world's a character.
Sure. Sure.
Neo noir.
Noir. Sure. Sure.
The
Yeah,
fashion in
Batman.
that.
Actually, yeah, the Batman is kind of a neo noir film. Very much so.
Fashion in Blade Runner. Very.
I'm excited. That the
innovative.
Batman.
Like look at this drawing from recent times. Very much so Blade Runner, but like
yeah,
just a way ahead
captures
of its
the
time.
essence of Blade Runner. The Batman's coming out on HBO Max.
earlier than expected.
I don't know.
That was the headline I saw, that it was coming to HBO Max more quickly than they had originally let on.
I know it was like 45 days after the
Was it?
theatrical release. So
Less than a month to Doctor Strange.
I
that's
I
right.
got text messages from the theater on Thursday, getting everything confirmed.
oh, we're doing something?
We're doing Doctor Strange.
Oh, I didn't even know.
You didn't know? You knew.
No, I swear. I mean, I knew it was like in the talks, but I
Yeah, no,
didn't-
we're renting out a theater again. So we're
What
gonna-
day?
Heck yeah.
That Friday that it opens.
I was talking to Nick Sweet about it because I told him, I said, yeah, we're probably doing something like that.
Yeah. So I think Martin's looking at invitation. Literally, again, this just was a conversation that was happened 4 days ago, and shout out to Martin. Martin's got a lot going on right now, but we'll start looking at that next
Love
week.
Martin.
Huh?
I said I love Martin.
Well,
He's the
A lot of
glue
people
that
do.
holds this
A
place
lot of people
together.
do.
He's a great guy.
he's a very nice lady.
He's very funny. He's a very funny person.
Yeah, I gotta start working on some Doctor Strange artwork
Yeah.
too. Some tributes for that. But anyway, Blade Runner, one of my favorite movies. The sound, the visuals,
Everything.
the slow pace. I like all of it. I'm a fan. Blade Runner, 2 thumbs up.
Three thumbs up. Three.
All right, but now we don't have any hands to end the stream.
No. All right.
You've been listening to the Oswego Comic Shop does a podcast with me, Papa Z. Lee.
I'm the employee of the month.
And I didn't watch the whole movie. Have a good night, everyone.
Bye bye.